My name is Amanda Roper, and I work in the library here at Brenau, and I'm a member of the advisory board for BASA, which is the Brenau Adult Student Association. And we put together this night and tomorrow night to kind of be a clearinghouse for giving you guys support. If you'll talk to almost anyone in BASA, and a lot of the staff at Brenau, we've had experiences dealing with real life while going to school. I graduated in '04. I did the single mom thing while going to school. We've had people who've gone back to get degrees. So when we say that we understand, it's very difficult balancing life and school. We really do understand. So tonight is our academic focus. So if you want to go around to the different tables, we've got Math Spa, we've got library, the Writing Center, all different resources so you can go where you feel you need the most help. I'm going to get everyone to do a brief introduction at your tables, just kind of around the room, and then we'll get started. Before we get started, I do want to tell you that we have a balancing act scavenger hunt, and you can win a $50 gas card, which is pretty great. I wish I could do it, but I didn't put it together, so that would be wrong. So it's just 12 questions. It's due November 30th by 4 p.m. to Roseanne Short. It has to be filled out completely and correctly, but these questions are going to be things that will help you in your Brenau journey, whether it's getting help with research, making an appointment for math tutoring, figuring out what you need to do to apply for graduation. The answers are on here, and the website's on here will really benefit you, along with the chance to win a gas card, which is just another bonus. So if we want to start with Barb Schell, you would like to make introduce yourself, and then people can just pop up and introduce themselves, and then we'll be good to go.
All right. Hi. I guess I have to hold this so that you can hear it on the video. Is that
That's the idea?
That's the idea. And how's this working so far? Those with earphones. Okay. I'm Barb Schell. I am the director of occupational therapy. We live in Brenau East. And I'm also the associate dean of health and science. But really, what I am is a person who loves returning adult students. So when I heard this was going on, I practically invited myself because I wanted to come talk with you guys. So before I get too far on this, I'd kind of like to know who you all are. So first of all, I see a lot of shirts. So we have a lot of staff here. We have 4 students. Do we have more students that haven't sat down? Would you come join us so that you're not so shy over there? Okay. Yeah, come have a seat. Anybody else? Just because you're staff doesn't mean you're not a student. Are you in school?
Yes.
Well, come on in. Come on over. All right, anybody else?
Well, I'm actually a graduate student. Right
Well,
now.
come on over. It'll be a party. It'll be a better party. Can we like move the sofa back a little bit and then I can see you all better? Since I happen to have little fellows there doing that. Okay, so just let's do a quick go around who you are, what you're majoring in.
I'm Carrie Moore. I'm a human resource major, second year.
Okay, and do I have to record all this?
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
Jenny. I just started the MBA program.
Cool, yeah.
Patricia, and either going to apply to PA school or pharmacy school.
Oh, cool.
I'm Sharnella, and I'm a Bachelor of Science, Nursing.
Nursing, okay.
Sophia, MBA project management.
Okay.
Chris, MBA Healthcare Administration.
I'm Dana. I work here full-time, and I'm also a graduate student in the education department.
My name is Ronald. I work in IT, and I'm also in the HR program.
Okay, cool. What I thought I would spend a little time on tonight, and in a minute I'm going to ask you what it is you'd really like for me to spend time on, is how to sort of figure out weaving in the academic piece with the life piece. But before we get to that, are there, like, I'm kind of curious as to why you came besides free food tonight. Is there anything in particular that I could do that you're aware of now to help you, or that you'd like by the time you went to class to say, that was really good? She helped me figure out
Where everything is.
where everything is. Okay.
I don't know where anything is.
Okay.
I'm slowly learning where everything is.
Okay. Where everything is. What else? Are you staying?
Yes.
Come on up. Wait, pull your chair up. You don't. We're not going to make you stand in the middle of the circle or anything, but join us. What's your name?
My name is Gosha,
Gosha?
and I'm actually a returning student.
Yeah?
I finished my MBA here
Yeah.
3 years ago, and now I decided to change careers, and I'm taking prerequisites for occupational therapy.
Oh, yay. Cool. Well, I'm Barb Schell, and I'm the Director of Occupational
Well,
Therapy.
so-
Great timing on your part. Okay. All right, so besides where everything else is, what else? Don't know?
I guess what's available to us as off-campus students,
Okay.
you know, where we can park and what we can do, and like if
Okay.
there's restrictions on what buildings you can go to. I graduated from North Georgia, and so there was a lot of little like.
We have a lot
things you
less
can
of
do,
those
things
kind of
you
rules
can't
here.
do.
Yeah, okay. The services that are available, and Roseanne, I'm gonna need your help on this. Some of what they're asking is really instrumental questions about how do I and where am I. Some of that stuff's gonna be tomorrow night as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, you wanna just take a second and tell them about tomorrow night too, because I'm not gonna be able to answer some of what they asked, and I don't, yep.
Yeah, tonight we're going to focus on academics and things to help. We have the Math Spot here, the Writing Center, the library, the financial aid, the registrar office is going to stop by. Then tomorrow night is going to be focused on social aspects and life at Brenau, career services, counseling services, those kind of things to help you more. How do I survive being a student tomorrow night? So it'll be a different group of people, a different group of information.
All right. Anything else before I kind of go into my little deal? All right, well, having taught a lot of returning adult students, which we get in occupational therapy, also been a returning adult myself, still trying to be an adult. I don't know, I figure out what I'm gonna be when I grow up every 5 years or so. I guess the biggest message that I thought might be helpful for you all tonight was a discussion about what we call magical thinking, okay? Do you know what I mean by magical thinking? It's a term that I comes to my mind when I see someone who comes into my office and they're single mom with a bunch of kids and they think they're gonna work 60 hours a week and then they're gonna have their part-time job and then they're gonna take 18 hours and they're gonna get into the OT program and they have a 1.4 GPA, okay? Now, not any one of those things is a disaster, but the combination of them leads to this sort of notion of magical thinking. I think the exciting thing about y'all is that you've made a decision to come back to school, and I think that speaks real well to your motivation and your desire to take charge of your life and invent the world and the life that you want to be in. And the fact that you recognize that, I think is really cool. But I think the magical thinking part comes in sometimes when you don't really stop to make the changes that you're going to have to make in life to succeed. Okay, so some of tomorrow's night stuff will feed into this, but I thought I would share a little OT theory with you, since I'm an occupational therapist, all right? And so let me hand around this little piece of paper. On one side is a copy of something called the Model of Human Occupation, and the other side, ironically, and this is a handout I've had for years, is called Juggling versus Balancing, which I thought was very thematic. Focused on women, but I think it does apply to men as well. But let's start on this side first, okay? And my idea was that if you understand the variables involved in being successful in doing anything, then you're more likely to be able to control them, okay? So the model of human occupation is this idea that we as people are in our own ecological systems, right? We have ourselves, we have our own makeup, right? We have our own nervous systems, we have our own ways that we do things, we have our own physical strength, we have our own emotional endurance. Do you understand what I'm saying? We have those things that are us. We have then things in our environment, physical things, where we live, whether we have our own office or not, whether we have our own desk, whether we're sharing with a roommate, okay? We have also social things, like what kind of support we're getting in a given situation. And our ability to do stuff, to engage in occupation, which you all are engaged in the occupation of being a student, being a successful student, requires the just right match, okay, between the person and the environment that they're functioning in. Now, when you go back to school, whether it's school or any other new thing that we want to do or continue to engage in, you got to bias that ecological system for success, okay? And by that, I mean, you've got to be brutally honest with yourself about who am I and what am I good at, okay? And how do I work as a person? So for instance, how many of you all need to have the TV on or some kind of background noise in order to really concentrate? How many of you all need, how many? Raise hands. Okay. How many of you all like cannot do that at all? I mean, if there's background noise, that's me. Yeah, I'm like, and of course, if you're married to the opposite, whatever it is. I mean, that just goes without saying. One of the most fun times we had is when my husband and I are now sharing an office, and he's like those of y'all who like the background noise, and I'm the kind of person that, I mean, he used to think I was so rude because we would go to restaurants, and if somebody is talking at the next restaurant, like I'm trying to pay attention to him, and I over here because I don't have the ability to shut people out. Okay. Well, part of that is about your nervous system. It's really about the way your nervous system runs. And some of us need more stimulation to arouse our nervous systems, and some of us need to not have distractions in order to not be overwhelmed in terms of our nervous systems. So I think one of the first things about being successful is to pay attention to what am I like and what do I need to be successful, okay? And then the next thing is what do I need in my environment that's going to support what I'm like in order for me to be successful, okay? How many of you all have a space and a place to study? Okay, good. What kind of space and a place is it? Tell me. It's here. It's at the library, okay? Anybody else? What do you do?
Yeah.
And you have a
My
quiet
office
office that you can
is
do?
my office.
Anybody not have that yet?
I just
You can confess, it's okay.
I just love studying in my bedroom where I have thousands of books around.
But you've got the space and you can
This is
organize
my
it the way you
space,
want.
yes.
Okay, good for you, okay.
Another place I really enjoy is I'll go to the lake when the weather's nice.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
just sit at one of the picnic tables and just
Yeah,
I can
okay.
focus real good there.
So part of this picture here that I have for you, you'll see, it talks about the environment, the physical, the social, whatever. So one of the things I want you to think about when you're being mindful about how to be successful academically is what is it in my environment that is pushing me towards success as opposed to being barriers? And what can I do to minimize the barriers? Does that like bring anything to mind that anybody's willing to share? Huh?
Facebook.
I have to like turn my Wi-Fi connection off when I go to study. 'Cause
That-
I'm doing an online class, and
Yeah.
so it's really easy to be like, oh, I reached the end of this section. I'm gonna check Facebook real quick, and then
Right.
an hour and a half goes by, and I'm
Right.
like, oh man.
So good for you, because you figured out one of the secrets about the fact that you really can only do one thing at a time. That I got a Chinese fortune cookie one time that said, multitasking means doing a number of things at the same time poorly.
That's true.
Poorly. There's neurology, there's a lot of neurological sciences behind that used to think we could like run 2 or 3 at a time. Pretty much the research is showing you really only can do one thing at a time. And if you think you can do more than one thing at a time, then you need to think about what is it you're really doing. Now, can you sit at your kid's baseball game and read a textbook? Yeah, you probably can, because you're not really paying attention to that game. You're just parking your body there as a symbolic thing while you read your book. And so, yeah, I think that's valid parenting. I mean, I'm all for it. But let's not pretend you're really being a baseball fan while you're doing it, right? And can you really read your textbook if you're one of those people who can't turn out background noise?
No.
No, not really, okay? That's what I mean by magical thinking. You've got to be brutally honest with yourself about what does it take for you to get the stuff in. Because to learn new things means that you are making up your mind. The way learning happens is you literally are rubbing your neurons together, neurologically, creating little links, and in order for that to happen, you gotta get the stuff in, you gotta do something with it, you gotta produce it out again, and you've gotta attend to it enough that it really gets into the long-term memory. I know there's IT terms for this. It's like the buffer zone as opposed to the real hard drive, right? It's soft drive, hard drive, am I right? Because a lot of this is information processing. It's very much like the IT stuff happens. So you have to really, really think about what does it take for you to get it into your brain and to use it and get it out again. So another way to think about this, and I'm sorry, I already forgot. See, I didn't hold on to it. I heard you, but I didn't hold on to it, didn't make it to my long-term memory, what your majors were. Some of you all have the kind of majors like project management. Was somebody MBA project? No? Yeah? So one way that you can learn and improve your learning is to approach your entire world as a project to be managed, right? I mean, because you have to use the knowledge that you're getting in school. It's not a matter of opening up your brain box and tossing it in. You have to rub your own neurons together. Nobody can do it for you. It's just like strengthening. You know, I can't go get strong by watching somebody else exercise. I got to do the exercise myself. Brain's the same way. You got to give it a chance to do its thing, okay? That leads into the issue of habits and routines, which is the other part of this picture. It's called the habituation system, in case you need a fancy word for it. But it talks about roles and habits. One of the things that I've given you on the back, and this is focused more on women, but this is the part that I said that is men, that you might try at a different time, is to check off all of those roles and responsibilities that you are engaged in now, and think about what are the habits and routines that you're into to support those, and how are you gonna do the school stuff that you need to do while you're doing all of these things. Some of them you can do together. Sometimes you can read the textbook and watch the baseball game. Do you know? But sometimes you really can't. And if you don't create the space and the place in your roles and routines for the academic stuff to work, then it's not going to happen. And you're welcome back to magical thinking, okay? Let me give an example of a habit and routine that maybe you guys are better at. Because we're doing more and more online teaching at Brenau, what's a habit or a routine you need to have if you're going to be very successful in an online course?
You have to stay focused.
You have to stay focused.
Log into the discussions.
How often?
Every day.
Every day. Really hard for me as a professor to do, because most of my teaching, it's 2 times a week, 3 times a week and all this, and so I have to beat myself with a stick to remember to get on. Now once I'm on, it's kind of engaging, it's not a problem. I realized, this is like, you know, I'm like 62, you would think I would pick these things up quicker. But I even teach about this stuff. I realized the other day that, you know, when I'm teaching an on-ground class, I mean, it's scheduled for me. I have to be at class at 9 o'clock on Tuesdays or Thursdays from 9 to 9. When I'm teaching an online class, it's not scheduled for me. Have I done anything in my book that says, here's the day every week that I'm gonna check into my class? I actually haven't. I'm more like your Facebook thing. I'm dipping between email and online and that kind of stuff. But I've started to realize that I gotta have a chunk of time where I do this thing, okay?
And you also have time, you have to make time. You have to make time.
And you know, there really is only so much time in the day, so part of making time means,
Sacrificing.
what is it you're gonna quit